So the market is still hot, prices still high nationwide, and in your local market too. So will you lose money if you buy a home in 2022? Let's get into it right now. What's up everybody, Moki here. I'm a realtor in Northern Virginia. Welcome to the channel. This is your first time, we're so glad to have you. You've been here before, glad to have you back. Reminder, your phone is your friend, so hit your boy up. If you got a plan and you just want to execute, if you don't even have a plan and don't know what to do, I got your back. Hit me up, anything you want to know about buying a home in Northern Virginia, I got you. So today we're talking about the 5 things that you gotta know about buying a home in 2022 so that you don't lose money on what is, for most people, the biggest purchase of their lives. So let's just get right into it with the first thing that you gotta know is that real estate is one of the most dependable ways to increase your net worth at any time. The one thing that you can count on with real estate, especially if you're trying to buy a home here in Northern Virginia, is appreciation. Homes appreciate about 5% every single year. So if you were to buy a home today, let's say you're buying at the top of the market, whatever it might be, is that next year you can guarantee that your home will appreciate in value. And the longer that you own and hold your property, the more value that it will increase. I heard it said one time by another agent, another realtor, another investor, that 2 things that people need: food and land. And they're not making any more land. Owning is a real key not only to wealth, but also to stability economically in America. One of the things too about Northern Virginia that is unique is that because we're so close to DC, we are very insulated from economic disasters, unlike other parts of the country. And jumping off of that, the second thing that you gotta know about buying a home is that what is not gonna happen is this idea of cheap homes, buying homes on sale, or a crash. However you want to define it, the one thing that we have learned about America in the 21st century is that it will do whatever it takes to prevent economic disaster from happening. It happened in 2007 and 2008 with the crash, and then even now with the pandemic by decreasing rates to insanely low levels, 2.5% on 30-year mortgages. They did this to prevent an economic disaster, to increase spending, and to make sure the economy does not collapse. These are all measures that are being taken that are unprecedented. And so America is willing to do the unprecedented to prevent economic disaster. And another thing too is that unlike 07, 08, a lot of things have changed since then that make sure that a housing disaster does not happen as much as possible. Lending has become more strict in terms of the guidelines for credit scores, income, assets, so on and so forth. Buyers are more qualified than ever in terms of their purchasing power compared to housing prices. Homeowners have more equity in their homes now than they did when the crash happened. The fourth thing is just there are not as many homes on the market now as there were in 07, 08. Builders have been underbuilding ever since then, so that it's gonna take at least 5 years for the housing inventory supply nationwide to catch up to the rate of increasing households and to return or move closer to what is a more stable housing market. The third thing you gotta know is this: the housing market always rebounds. 07, 08 was wild. It was insane. It created an antecedent for people. What people assume is going to happen when prices go super high is that everything's just going to come crashing down. But in 07, 08, it took just 3 years for the housing market to return to the pre-crash peak prices. And also, if you ever think about this idea of being underwater on your house or underwater on your mortgage, that would only be the case if you were to sell your house. In real estate, one of the things that you gotta learn, one of the core truths about real estate is this: you win when you buy. You win when you buy, not when you sell. I'll give you an example about my parents. They bought their home in 2001, a townhouse in 2001 for $200,000. 07, 08 happened, everything went to the pooper, everything went in the trash can, and everyone's home's values plummeted substantially. But it didn't really make a difference because they had no plans on selling the house. Then in 2015, they decided to sell that townhouse and move into a bigger house, and they sold the home for 140% more than what they had bought it for. And so on top of the home value increasing, they also had equity in terms when as they were paying down the loan. And so they had a substantial amount of money that they could use to buy a bigger and better home still in Loudoun County. The fourth thing that you got to keep in mind is not so much about the housing set purchasing market, but the housing rental market. The reality is that rental prices rarely go down. They always go up. There's a story about an agent in Loudoun County whose client was looking for a new rental because their landlord decided to increase the rental rate by 30% to renew the lease. Why? Because they own the home. It's their property. They can choose the rate that they would want to own. But the reality of the rental market is that it is as hot, if not hotter, than the housing sale market. And the guidelines for renting, landlords are more strict now, especially after the eviction moratorium that happened. They want to make sure that their tenants are going to be able to pay on time, then they're not going to cause any issues, and that they have a stable investment in place. And so this isn't to say that renting is. I'm not one of those guys that says that, renting is putting money in someone else's pocket. Look, everybody has their own plan. Everybody has their own strategy for what they're trying to do with their lives and with their financial situation. So if renting is your jam, if it's your deal right now, go ahead and rent. All I'm doing is giving you information so that you can make a wise decision as you're renting. Don't put yourself in a situation where you end up with a 30% increase on year for year that puts you in a situation where you can't even rent your own home. So just be mindful about what the situation is, and then come up with a plan and a strategy so that you are still always in a good and stable and comfortable financial situation. And the last thing is this: real estate is a numbers game. All you have to do is find out the numbers that you need, and you gotta make it work for you. These are 5 tips for how to make sure that the numbers will work for you in the situation where you're trying to buy a home, what would be considered at the top of the market. Not only are home prices high, but interest rates are also increasing. So the number one tip right now, if you're thinking of buying a home at this time, is to make sure that you know the difference between making an offer over asking price and making an offer that is overpriced. You got to make sure that you've got a system and a strategy so that you're not only making, if you have to make an offer over asking price, you want to make sure that you're also within your pre-approved number. A lot of people confuse the pre-approval amount and the pre-approval limit and how to make a strategic and competitive offer. So make sure that you're within your budget, that if you have to go over list, you don't go overpriced, and you also remain within your pre-approval amount. The second thing is this: don't make emotional decisions, make hasty decisions. This whole FOMO thing, don't get swayed by what you see online or what you see in ads. Make sure that you're making your decision based on your strategy. And also remember this: system I tell my clients all the time: the home for you will come up. It may not be today, it might be tomorrow, it might not be tomorrow, it might be next week. But as long as you're within your time, you gotta know your timeline, your time frame, so that if you feel pressure to make a decision, if you need to make a decision today, then you need to make a decision today. But if you feel pressure and you don't need to decide, you've got some time where you can maybe wait a week, a month, or 2 months, then you give yourself a break. You know how to plan, and you can talk with your agent, with your loan advisor, and you can come up with a strategy and make sure that you are always in a position to put in a strong offer. The third thing is very much similar to how that last point ended about pre-approvals. Update your pre-approval. Interest rates will most likely hit 6% by the end of the year. So you want to make sure that with your credit, income, and assets, that you are still within the pre-approved amount that you need to get the house that you want. A home today for $700,000 was most likely $600,000 last year. A home for $600,000 at 2.5% is very different from a home at $600,000 at 6%. The amount of money you need will differ, and so you just got to make sure that you're within the pocket of what you need to do. The fourth thing is minimize your expenses and make your DTI as low as possible. This is all about money. So make sure that your debts, decrease them to as little as possible. If you've got credit cards, car notes, all those kinds of things, pay those things off. Keep your debt low, keep your expenses low so that you've got cash on hand, and make sure that your liquidity is such that like your credit, your income, and your assets are working for you and giving you what you need so that you can pull the trigger and submit that offer at any time and be competitive. And the last tip is this: have a plan that can work today, tomorrow, and 6 months from now. The best plan is the one that you can implement immediately, and also the one that works today and tomorrow and next year. There are plans and strategies that you can implement today and in 6 months, and you'll still be competitive and you'll still be compelling. So make sure you know what that plan is. You've got it in place, you've got it rock solid and ready for you whenever the time comes. And if you don't know what that plan is, or you've got a plan and you don't really know, is it rock solid? Can it get me where I want to go? Hit me up. I got your back. Like I said, if you got a plan, you just got to execute, hit me up. If you don't know what to plan and you need some help to put things in order, hit me up. I got your back. Either way, I got your back for whatever you want to do real estate wise in Loudoun, Virginia. So that's all I got today. Subscribe, join the team. We're always excited about new members. Whatever you need, I want to make sure this channel is compelling and important and really the kind of information that is relevant for you in your home buying journey. It's been real, as it always is, from me to you. Until next time, take care.